I'm Tony Gittings from the Rocket Reel Company, and we're doing a series of 6 short videos explaining the mysteries of the Multiplier reel. And in part 1 we'll be taking a reel to pieces and solving the mystery that a lot of guys have with what we call the gearbox end, where the gears are. There's nothing complicated about it, provided you just take it to bits in sequential order. So this will be the first stage of the program. Through the program we'll be doing other things, coming on to setting the reel up, obviously putting the thing back together again, and eventually talking about tuning the reel, how you set it up for fishing or for tournament casting or whatever else you want to do with it. But a lot of people think that Multiplier has been around for the last few years, not long at all, and that it probably all was invented in Sweden. Well, this is a load of old rubbish. In actual fact, the first patent was in the UK in the year 1760. So what we've actually had for hundreds of years is what used to be called a winch, and now we've got a multiplying winch. Now we've had a continuous development since that time, from centrifugal brakes, for level winds. So it's been a very, very slow progression, but nobody came up with it and invented it out of the blue. That's how it's gone. Now, if you buy a reel from one of the major manufacturers, they quite frankly haven't got time to give it a thorough lubrication. They want the thing to corrode as quickly as possible, so you've got to buy another one. Now we take a somewhat different approach, so that when you buy a reel from us, the whole thing has actually been carefully assembled, so it's designed to last for years without too much attention. So what do we actually need? What we actually need is a screwdriver. I've got these little dinky ones with a sharp point, which are very, very handy, which you'll see later on. We use 2 products, which is my original yellow label rocket fuel, now in its 26th year, and the liquid grease. Why that and not grease out of a tube? Well, we'll come on to that as well. And to clean the reel with, I use Hammerite thinners. Obviously, don't have any cigarettes or any naked flames near it, but it is very quick and it works very well and also dries very well. So that's what we need it to do. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is remove the screw on the handle here. If we put the ball in sequential order, then you can actually see where we're going and where we're coming from. There's no mystery really to these, it's just a question of doing it all in order. Now this is the bit you have to be careful of, because these little babies can fly everywhere. So E-clip, and then we have a handle here. These are our new handles, carbon fibre, light and incredibly strong. Okay, let me take the spring clip off. Then we undo our little new MicroStar drag washer. Okay. This is the end cap, inside of which we've got 2 shims. Okay, now the next thing we have is our spindle clip. Make sure these are nicely undone. Okay, so that is the dreaded gearbox end. Here we have the spool, the bearings, and we'll come back onto the spool in a moment. And on this side we have what we call the mag side, which has got a monomag in it and a built-in speed bush. Our reels have got a fixed speed bush, so there's no adjustment necessary. Okay, 2 and number 3. Okay, and this is the monomag end here, and this is the cage that we have here. Our cages are Very low profile, designed for a nice easy grip on your rod, and there's all sorts of bits and pieces that we do to develop the thing as we're going along. Here, the dreaded gearbox end. Now, you do read a lot on the forums of the dreaded gearbox side and how do we address it. So this little mystery hopefully will get resolved very quickly. Okay, now as you take this out, you have the spring washers underneath, and you also have what we call the anti-reverse bearing shim. Okay, so that there is the actual end plate and its fixings, and here we have the actual gearbox end. So let's take this apart and let's just show how we're going to do this. Okay, firstly we have a copper washer, and then we have the drive shaft. These washers that we're using here are actually a carbon fibre. The smoothie people in America produce these for us. Okay, now if we just lay them all out nice and neatly in order, we can see exactly how they go and how they go back together. Okay, so what we've actually done here so far, we've taken away the handle element. We've looked here at the actual cage and the mag set. We've got here this spindle and the bearings and the actual spool. Taking apart the actual handle end, we've now taken away all these bits that go onto the drive shaft, and this is usually the bit that mystifies most people. So let's have a look at how it really all works. If we put this, think of this as a little mast furthest away from you, you've also got 4 other pillars. There's 2 pillars here that hold a collar, which your pinion gear is on. And then we've got here a spring loaded retention clip, and behind that you've got the 3 metal bits for engaging and disengaging the pinion gear. Okay, so what we're going to do now is take it apart. Now this is a bit quite important. Just take it apart gently. You'll find the easiest way is just doing that. Okay, so that's the first bit we've taken apart. The next bit we've taken apart is the collar and the pinion gear. And then after that we have these 3 little bits. Now, it doesn't look much like a 3, but that basically is the 3rd part. The second bit here actually does look a bit like a 2. So that's the easiest way to remember, and well, I think so anyhow. And this is number 1. So if you look at this now, these are all taken to bit, but it's in sequential order. And when you're putting the thing back together again, this is the best way to think about doing it. So if we clean every bit and put it back together again in exactly the same order that we've taken it apart, then that's straightforward. Next, we'll look at lubricating and putting the reels together again.